Hours before, during, and after Hurricane Ida, first responders were forced to make repeated, difficult, life-saving decisions.
And despite rescuing hundreds of people, St. John the Baptist Parish search and rescuers remember trying to save a man trapped under a tree for 13 hours. Amanda Roberts has this exclusive report.
Yeah, we need emergency. We need help. We're on the ground.
The winds have to slow down some before we can get out there.
Oh, Lord, we gonna die.
St. John Parish first responders sat back and listened to desperate calls for help as Hurricane Ida's relentless winds and rain pounded southeast Louisiana for hours.
Damn, it's in the house. It's the cars, the water in the cars. We were trying to sit in the cars, but it's rising.
Terror and fear on the other end of the line.
Yeah, because I got my 1-year-old son with me. The water coming in, and the attic is getting wet. We're getting wet in the attic now. Somebody come in. We trapped. The water rising.
What's the address?
What's the address? What's the address?
It's frustrating sitting there. You're starting to get the calls rolling in. You're listening to people, all but beg for help.
The house is completely flooded. I have a 1-month-old. We need help. We have a 1-month-old. We need help.
Knowing that we have certain protocols in place that we advise the public, once sustained wind speeds reach 40 miles an hour, emergency services are suspended.
By 5 p.m., the winds picked up, keeping emergency responders inside as Ida's eye wall edged closer to Laplace.
That rain, that wind for hours and hours, hard.
There was one call Major Tanner Mangano couldn't shake.
St. John 911. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. I need a fight for somebody.
Okay, I can't hear you.
The tree fell on my leg now.
Yes, sir. We're aware of it. We're trying to work on it now. Hello?
Ma'am, I'm dying.
That was an individual that was calling for help multiple times. I don't think many of us had the stomach to listen to it anymore. I know I didn't.
The call of a man trapped under a tree was only a short distance from the parish's emergency operations center.
It was bad. It was really bad. Those guide cables whipping like jump ropes.
The department's tower camera showed the deteriorating conditions. Mangano and fire rescuers decided they had to go on a life-saving mission.
Debris was flying, trees were falling, power lines were falling all around us. The bravery of fire and my SWAT guys that came out, it's amazing. And not one person that went out there had to go out there. We were 100% protected. We were well over 40 mile an hour sustained winds. By that time, we were approaching 80, 90 sustained.
Longtime colleague and search and rescue captain Chip Whale remembers the high-risk rescue from the other side of the radio.
You could tell in his voice, he's telling me, hey, give me bingo. Tell me when I have to come back. And then when I did, he still waited 15 minutes and then he finally came back.
The risk was too great, and they left the man trapped under the tree. Mangano still struggles with the guilt of leaving him behind.
I would have gladly stayed and rode the storm out hand in hand with him. I wouldn't even thought twice of it. But I know what we were responsible for. I know what my position requires of me to make those difficult decisions, those decisions that'll stay with you for the rest of your life.
It's one of those, nobody likes to leave somebody behind. It's not easy to tell a story because of that, right? You don't have a choice.
We did not know if he survived the event.
And as I was walking back outside, that's when this tree fell through the trailer and boom, and it got me.
So it was right here, that
Yes,
13 hours.
13 hours.
Nathaniel Moss made it. Spending 13 hours in the driving wind and rain, his foot pinned under a massive tree.
And when it actually hit me and I realized, man, I'm stuck under here, that's when life got real to me. Man, I hope I get from under here.
He remembers screaming for help, alerting his neighbor, his dad, and uncle to try and help. They tried using a floor jack, hoping to lift the tree off just enough, but it didn't budge. His only hope, that someone would answer his 911 calls before the worst of Ida.
Yes, ma'am. I'm losing conscious. Hey, please. Please. Oh, please help me.
Listen, we're trying to get somebody We're trying, okay?
I was scared, but when I seen them get there, you know, it was like whew, a sigh of relief. But they was trying to cut the tree and trying to get me out, and that's when I guess they got a call saying that they had to leave.
After a few hours, Moss said he lost feeling in his foot and leg, but his family stayed by his side, keeping him calm even when the floodwaters started rising.
The way I was laying, like on my stomach down, the water came up to like right here, but that's the highest it actually got, and it was just, you know, at that point I was like worried that an alligator didn't grab me or anything. To be honest, man, I just hope I survived this so I could see my son. That was the main thing going to my mind.
By the early morning hours, emergency responders knew there were hundreds across the parish in dire need, including Moss still trapped.
I said, there's no telling what's out there. You could literally have Godzilla on the other side of Airline Highway and we won't see it.
I made a decision, we got to start saving some people. The winds were still screaming, but we started hitting the streets. We started giving them assignments. We had airboats out, we had rescue boats out. We had the officers hit the streets and start rescuing people.
You saw people working for the greater good.
We rescued about 800 people along with the fire department. No loss of any lives at all.
One of the first rescues, a weary and wind-battered Moss.
They immediately called back in and told us, hey, look, he's alive. We got him. That was a big boost, I think, for a couple of us.
They cut the tree off and got it off me, and they pulled me out of here on a four-wheeler and drove me on a four-wheeler all the way to River Parish Hospital.
Do you ever look back when they first tried to rescue you and couldn't? I mean, do you ever get angry at that, or do you understand now, I guess?
I get angry a lot, but I can't, you know, that's not the type of person I am. I don't live with anger in my heart. You know, I try and forgive and forget.
Extraordinary circumstances call for extraordinary measures. One, a tale of a dedicated public servant grappling with an attempted rescue.
In all of my years of doing what I've done in law enforcement, you know, it was really hard to suspend that operation. I knew everybody out there, the fire department personnel, my SWAT guys. They were not leaving. They would have rode that storm out right there with him. I had to force them to leave. It was not easy. It's not something that I ever want to have to do again.
This is incredible what you've been through.
Yes, ma'am.
The other, a test of faith, grit, and survival.
I can't sleep some nights. I just look over at the pictures and the videos of the tree, and I just constantly hear the sound in my ear, like the loud noise, but man, I think about it every day. You know, I felt like deep inside I knew God had a plan for me, and I just knew it just wasn't going to be my last stop.
Both men forever changed overnight. Reporting, Amanda Roberts, Fox 8 Local First.
And Moss says he has nerve damage in his foot, but he is able to walk and he's attending multiple doctor's appointments. Sheriff Tregg says of the hundreds of people saved after the storm, there was no major injury or loss of life.